everyone. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming. 每天我站在这前面，总会看到很多熟悉的面孔，总是忍不住就是记忆，就是 flashback， 就是这么多年我们一起走过的很多路 ，and just very hard to not get emotional. 刚才舒云也谈到了，就是说，在这么多年里面，我们北卡的华人所在一起，所经历过的很多的事情，包括最早的时候，我记得，在那个他之前提到的皮特亮什么，这个 protest 那个时候，我们的社区都是非常的难，有什么都不知道。It's not working. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think at that time, 大家有的东西 the only thing we have at that time is just passion. Just feel like, well, we the Chinese Americans cannot be silent. We cannot be silent all the time, like just bearing whatever that's thrown at us silently. 所以那个时候呢，有很多人都是就凭着这样一颗这样一种非常淳朴的这样一种意愿，就是说我们华人一定要有自己的声音，所以我们就走出去了。我觉得那次也是我第一次走到外面去，来表达我们华人的心声。因为现在 looking back， 你说是不是有 better strategy， is it better to fight it？ That's a different story, but that's the first step that we've taken. 然后到2017年的时候 ，when I throw myself into the election campaign, I think that's the first time that the North Carolina Chinese Americans have ever engaged in the election politics. And I think that it's just life-changing for me, and I think it has a significant impact for many people in this community. So when I look at you today, I still can recognize many people here, like you have planted the campaign signs for me, and so many people have knocking on doors and manned the polling stations. And I still remember when Guang Yang launched her 2 successful campaigns. It's the campaign for every one of us. It's not my campaign, it's not Guang Yang's campaign, it's our campaign. So I think that it's natural. I think now when we're at this stage, when we're at this historic moment, we all know that what is going on, what is happening around the country, and what's happening around the world. So there is many uncertainties due to the conflicts and international conflicts, as well as many conflicts underlying uncertainties and unrest in this country. I think all the Asian Americans and Chinese Americans are facing increased uncertain futures. So it is time that we are being keenly aware what is facing us, and we can come together to discuss what we can do to protect ourselves, to improve our environment, and create a better future for our children. So that is the reason that we have this organization. So I'm just trying to highlight a few key areas that we will focus on. So I think the first thing we're going to do is advocacy. I have realized that we have a lot of community organizations and different organizations that focus on business, focus on arts and culture, and focus on community, different areas. But I think there's not one organization that with single focus on understand what is the need or what's the anxieties of the Asian American community. What is our need? What are the unmet needs that in our community that has not been discussed in society? Our voices have not been heard. When we go to our communities, lots of times have we heard, we're saying that we feel that we are invisible, we're silent to the larger community, but what are the issues that we have? So I think that's the first thing that we're going to do, is we're going to conduct surveys and focus groups and really understand our community, to understand what are the key issues, what are our priority list, so that we can have concerted efforts, putting our efforts and resources together to push those fronts. So the first, what we're going to do is advocacy. So the second is outreach. So after we conduct our research and understand our community needs and desires, then we're going to reach out to the communities. That includes organizing the forums be inviting the experts or the influencers, we say the people who have influence in the community, and also the elected officials. We're going to invite them to come over to listen to our community, so that to help to spread our words. And we're going to publish email newsletters and writing opinion pieces in those editorial letters to major news organizations. And we found that this is something that we haven't done enough. And if you pay attention to what is going on with Israel and the anti-Semitic, the Jewish communities are doing much better in that regard. They make sure that not only their own community feel there is a pressing issue, they want to make sure that everyone else in society understand why that is an issue, why that's important, why it is an issue of everyone. So I think this is the second. We're going to, and then we're going to broadcast our issues and understanding our findings through social media, and we're going to schedule visits. We're going to be inviting community members, and we come together to visit elected officials to make sure that our voice is being heard. And third, what we're going to do is to make the connections and alliance. We realize, 就像我们中国人说，一根筷子容易折断，但一把筷子就不容易折断。所以呢 I think it's very important for us to do is not only every time when we have an issue, we go out all by ourselves, like Asian Americans, as lone groups, and we're fighting our own causes, and we're not working with anyone else. I think that cannot continue. It's not sustainable. From my work and from working with many others, I realized that throughout the U.S. histories, the movement of civil rights, and the Black communities, the Jewish communities, the Indian communities, the Korean communities, they all have accumulated experiences. They don't fight the battles all by themselves. So it's very important for us to come together and build an alliance. And I always comment that it is our particular strength in the tribal area that our Chinese American communities are very united. Of course, people have different opinions, just like you saw different, like two opposing sides at the same intersection. But overall, I think our communities is a community that we can come together and work on issues. But on the other hand, I think still, I feel like we're isolated in a lot of things that we do. And I think in a while, we will hear from our speakers that they will share with you how they fight their battles by working together with others. So this is the third area that we're going to focus on, is to build an alliance that includes connect with other Asian American business communities and business leaders. We're going to be working with arts, cultural, and community organizations. And there are educational organizations like Chinese schools, and we're going to work with the national other Asian American PACs and the civic organizations. I think these organizations are very important, and it's crucial that we need to work with them day in and day out. Not only at the time that when we need their help, then we go to them. I remember that last time when I think in 2021, when there's anti-Asian hate, when I go to our Hispanic communities and the Black communities and said, we're going to have a rally, can you join us? And they all gracefully agreed. But they also told me that I feel like we need to work together. Throughout, we need to have more connections and working together on a lot of community issues instead of like only last minute and you're asking for the help. So I think that is the area that I think we need to focus on. And we see that despite there are so many organizations that we have in the community, but we do not have a standing community. See that we are the ones that are representing Chinese or Asian Americans that are working on building connections with other organizations. Okay, next one. And then it's very important for us for the leadership development. If you pay attention to the affirmative action, the Supreme Court case, you will see that when Harvard rated the college applicants, the Asian Americans categorically are ranked much lower than other candidates. Of course, part of it is just it's just stereotypes against Asian Americans. But on the other hand, I think it is an area that first we did not pay enough attention. A lot of time we focus on academics, or focus on sports, or focus on the specialty knowledge. But there's not a lot of efforts, both in our community and in our children, to focus on leadership. So leadership is going to be a big part of what we do. So in order to build the leadership, we're going to identify the community leaders, like everyone sitting over here. You are leaders, that's why you're invited here. And we're counting on you to find other leaders in our community. And if you look at the history is changed by a few people, a few committed people, and together with a ripple effect. So it's very important for us to have a group and a cluster and an expanding network of leaders. So the second, we're going to have the leadership training, including how to do the communication. We're going to focus on, we're going to have communication skill training, social skill, leadership skill training. These are all doable. They're huge literatures, they're experts in the community. We're going to reach out, inviting them in to our community and to have these leadership training programs. Then we're going to organize regular networking gatherings. So today we have the gathering. We're going to make that a regular event. And then support groups for leaders facing common challenges. I think that's very important. And I'm sure that I still remember clearly when I was running for my campaign, I feel like I'm doing this all alone. When I go to a lot of community events, I'm the only Asian that in the whole room of 300 people. And that is very lonely. I'm sure that Guang probably has going through many more occasions like that. But I think this maybe that you're able to do that once or 1 year or 5 years, but day in and day out, you will be worn out. Everyone needs support. So I think it's very important for Asian Americans communities really wants to have this reckoning to usher in the new era. We need a group of leaders, and we also need supporting groups for those leaders. And then we're going to recruit, and the last point is very important, we're going to recruit candidates to public service roles. I think the Asian Americans, because our history is relatively short history for us to be in U.S. in the community. So their public service is not something that a lot of people pay a lot of attention to or are willing to put their time and efforts. But it's very important for us. We started in, Guang is one that's leading, but we need many more people that are following her steps and are willing to commit their time and efforts and to be served in the public officials roles. I think that's very, very important. We will just take one step at a time. And then that one step, we want to start even earlier. It's not only among the adults, the parents in this group, we will start with our youth. The youth leadership program is going to be a very big part of what we do. The leadership training, we have leadership training short programs like weekend program or a long weekend program, and then we're going to summer camps to focus on youth leadership. And then we're going to build the internship opportunities at the state, local, and federal government level. And Guang has done this many times, trying to introduce these opportunities to our community. So we want to establish a channel, this opportunity network, to make sure that our kids can benefit from that. And there is a pipeline of leaders from our younger generations. And then we have community youth leadership roles and hands-on projects. And that one, this item I have shared with the RNCL Raleigh Chinese School last week. And we discussed the many opportunities and many hands-on projects that we can work on. And you can see that there are many programs, small and large, that will be pushed out in the coming months and years. And then we have community awards and scholarships. And I know the Chamber of Commerce have started that initiative, so we can hear more from you that. Okay, next slide. And then the very last, it's also very important, is the core of this PAC. This PAC is going to do community and say that what is most important to you, what concerns you, what makes you wakes you up at night, you cannot fall asleep and worry. What are the things that what kind of aspiration you have, what's the dream you have for your kids. Those things are very important for us to understand what are the things that's most important in this election for our community. Then we're going to prepare for the election information and newsletters to make sure our community is being updated and informed. Next. So the second part of our civic engagement and the election efforts will focus on the candidates. We're going to push out these efforts to reach out the candidates, to organize the Candidate Asian American Community Forums. We have doing this in the childhood Chinese school and for every election cycle. We're going to invite the candidates to our Asian American communities and have the opportunities to introduce them to our communities and have our communities to ask them questions face to face. And then we're going to, this is the most important part, and I'm sure that many people of you will be involved in this, is we're going to issue the candidate surveys. I'm sure that you have read the stories about Jewish communities, and they issue surveys to the candidates. And it depends on their responses on those important survey questions. Then they're going to screen the candidates, interview the candidates in a big endorsement and say which candidate is the one that our organization or our community is going to support for this election cycle. Next one. And then after we identify the candidates we're going to support, we're going to promote the endorsed candidates through newsletters, social media, postings, and then we're going to recruit the volunteers to do the campaigns, to the canvassing and the phone banking, meet and greet events for those candidates. And of course, the campaign fundraising is always a very big part. And we're just going to involve in those campaigns from volunteer to the donations to ground operations to make sure that the candidates we support will be getting all the effort they can see and they can feel what support from our community. And of course, when our candidates are elected to the office, we're going to invite them back to let them tell us what they have done in their office and to make sure that our community have continuous opportunity to give them feedback and what they want them to accomplish in their office. Okay, next one. Okay, so that concludes. These are the highlights of the things that we are planning to do. So I think we are still at this drawing board of, there are a lot, of course, there are only 5 of us. I'm not sure that how many of them are going to be, we cannot check off all of them next year, but this is just long-term goals. And we're hoping that many of you will see the value of the work that we are committing ourselves to do. And hopefully we all can work together to make sure that our Asian American communities will have our voice, will have our leader, and we will have the channels and ways to make sure that all of us will be a contributing member of this community and our voices are being heard. Like one student a poem from one Chinese school student in Chapel Hill, she said that this land is our land and this country is our country. And we coming to this country not only as guests, not like forever visitors, permanent aliens in this country. We are living in this country, and this is the place we put our roots. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're going to create better opportunities for us, for our children, and for everyone in this country. Thank you.